How am I supposed to make a video if you're making noise?
What's up, buddy? Hope you're having a great week so far. I'll tell you who you're having a better week than. Shazam director David F. Sandberg, who's currently looking at a 53% Rotten Tomatoes score for Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. This is obviously a big letdown for DC. I mean, I don't know. Does DC even care, considering they're rebooting the whole thing? But the fact that the original Shazam was, a big success, it was kind of a surprise success. I don't think people expected Shazam to knock it out of the park the way that it did. For the sequel to show up and completely, I mean, I don't know if are we allowed to say it, shit the bed. It's not good. It's incredible what's going on. This is such a disaster for DC because it's not even that the movie, people don't like the movie. There's plenty of movies that suck, but they at least recoup their money at the box office. People run out and see them, whatever else. Shazam's box office over this weekend was 30 million. 30 million. Let's try to put that in perspective, guys. We're going to talk about what a tremendous disaster Shazam 2 is, and why I think this might be the end of superhero movies. Maybe that sounds hyperbolic, but audiences have been disappointed too many times over the past year. I think people are staying away from superhero movies entirely. That's what we're going to talk about. Don't forget, hit that button, subscribe. Now let's get some numbers here. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, did open to #1 in North America. And I must be clear, I have not seen this movie. I think tomorrow I'm going to go out Tuesday, cheap movie day, half-price popcorn. I'm going to eat a big bucket of cheap popcorn and probably watch that Shazam 2, so expect my review for that probably on my main channel. But from what I'm hearing from other YouTubers and critics, some critics like it, but a lot do not. But the box office is telling me that audiences are just not interested. So, 30 million debut on 4,000 theaters. The projection was 35 million to 40 million. Let's be clear, when studios make these projections, that's the minimum they want to hit. When they say 35 to 40 million projected, even a dollar less than 35 million means something has gone horribly wrong. $5 million off the mark is a disaster. Is it because it's not going to turn around? Word of mouth is not going to boost Shazam Fury of the Gods up. This is about as good as it gets, and it's just going to be a downhill slide from here. The film cost north of $110 million to make and $100 million to market. Let's try to keep those numbers in our heads as we consider the future of superhero box offices. Again, the original Shazam opened to 53.5 million. Now, that was 2019. I want to say it managed to drop before COVID was a huge problem. But still, to go from 53 million down to 30, for a character like Shazam, which, let's be clear, is not a Superman, is not a Batman, 53 million was fantastic. For a character like Shazam, it looked like this might really be a new franchise for DC. Clearly not going to happen. Now, Shazam Fury of the Gods, B+ cinema score, whereas the original was an A. The cinema score, for those of you who don't know, I believe when you come out of the theater, there's guys who ask you to rate it at certain theaters. 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, a dramatic decline from the original 90%. And again, one of the big problems DC's having is like, why? Why? So Marvel has hit on a great formula, which was, once you're invested in Marvel, it's like, okay, well, even if I don't love this character, I want to go because it's going to impact my other favorite characters. What happens to Doctor Strange is going to affect Spider-Man. What happens to Spider-Man is going to affect Ant-Man. Okay, it's a little intricate little web. Shazam, being at the tail end of the dying Zack Snyder franchise verse, although it never managed to tie into that universe anyway, it's like there's no bonus reason to see it. There is apparently an end credit scene with Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, to which you go, oh, good, the woman from Wonder Woman 1984. That movie sucks. Why would I want to see more of that? So this is all just a big, stupid disaster. Now, I want to see here. Okay, so what I think is worth talking about is that superhero movies in general have been underperforming both critically and commercially. Ant-Man 3 impressed with its mighty 106 million opening in February, but has crumbled in subsequent weeks and will end up as the lowest grossing installment in the trilogy. DC's Black Adam massively disappointed, grossing 400 million or 392 million on a 200 million plus budget. I mean, we still have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think that has a pedigree and it's going to do well. Obviously, anything Sony does, they're talking Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that'll dominate, sure. But what we're realizing now is that the era of the B character superhero movie is going to end. Okay, you're not either that or they're going to keep throwing money at it for diminishing returns. Because audiences have been so disappointed for so long. Let's really quick, Multiverse of Madness. What was the tomato score on that one? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness managed to get a 74%. But most people I talked to said, well, it wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting, an entire thrilling adventure, like multiverse adventure. I thought we were going to see all these, characters from around the multiverse. They did a little of that, but really they only went to like one universe. And it felt again like they were retreading the same ground as WandaVision. It's like, oh, Wanda's evil, but like she's learning a lot. I'm like, we already did this, you friggin' idiots. Then there was, of course, the huge disaster. This movie was just, who even cares? Thor Love and Thunder. I don't know how that managed to get a 63%. I'll tell you how it got a 63%. The stuff with Gore the Godslayer and this black and white sequence, when it actually took itself seriously, it was a great movie. All the comedy and nonsense, it was terrible. And then, of course, Ant-Man 3. What is Ant-Man 3 sitting at for a, god dang, 47%. So here's what audiences are learning. They're learning that if you go to see one of these superhero movies, you're going to get a bad movie. Most of the time. It's not like back in the day when a superhero movie was a big, exciting, whatever adventure. I guess we also got to mention Black Panther 2, which I actually liked, but honestly, I don't even feel like the parts of it I liked weren't the superhero stuff. The superhero stuff was terrible. All the, the drama and the character interactions, I loved that. I would prefer to just see a a dramatic movie from Ryan Coogler, but he's kind of stuck making Black Panther. But again, this made less money than the original Black Panther, and I don't think it's what audiences want. I don't think audiences wanted a super serious, depressing Black Panther. It's an interesting way to go with the franchise, but again, it's completely at odds when the next movie that comes out is Ant-Man running around and being goofy and stupid. It's tonally inconsistent. My theory is audiences have been going to these superhero movies. They're not getting what they expected. They're getting, crappy comedies with limited creative vision. There's nothing original. There's nothing left to do in these universes, and they're turning out. Now, I think the counterpoint to that, I think what audiences want is I think what audiences are getting tired of these cookie cutter superhero universes, these very by the books, kid friendly franchises. I think audiences are much more interested in these kind of prestige superhero films. I look at like The Batman is an example. The new Joker movie that's going to be coming out, although I don't know why it's a musical, but we'll see. But I think that we look at what people are watching on TV, stuff like The Boys, Invincible. I think people are just tired of the goofy slapstick superhero movie. It had a limited... You got 10 years out of it. You got 10 years of making Captain America walking around, everybody making jokes about his ass, and Iron Man drinking, and okay, it was all a lot of fun. But there's been a cultural shift. I think people are tired of goofy, stupid comic book movies. I think a lot of this ties into, you always have to look at the economic climate of the times. People right now are suffering through people right now are dealing with depression. People right now are dealing with inflation. They're losing their jobs. The world doesn't seem as bright as it used to. And when you're in that kind of mood, you kind of want entertainment that reflects the spirit of the times. Not everybody's having a great time. People lost loved ones due to the pandemic. There's all sorts of crazy cultural shifts going on. And the idea that you're going to sit down and go, I want to watch a guy turn into an ant, it feels stupid. I want to watch Shazam turn into Shazam. He's a kid who becomes a superhero. I don't think people connect with that right now. And I think that these studios are learning very quickly, okay, you had your golden age of everybody's having fun and the stock market's rip-roaring, so why not go to the movies and watch something stupid? But now that people are a little more in a psychological place, they want something that reflects their lived experience. They want something that reflects the struggle they're seeing in their everyday lives. And they don't want these big, stupid, colorful superhero movies. This feels like a regression, you know? The director, very upset. We had a quote from him. He says, on Rotten Tomatoes, I just got my lowest critic score and my highest audience score on the same film. I wasn't expecting a repeat of the first movie critically, but I was a little surprised because I think it's a good film. Oh, well. And then he also says, I'm done. After 6 years of Shazam, I'm done with superheroes for now. I'm going back to horror. I have to tell him, yeah, I think that's a good move. I don't think there's any blood left in this stone. I don't think there's any gold left in that mine. I think the whole bright, colorful, stupid superhero adventure thing has been done to death. It's not evolving in any way. The jokes aren't getting better. The comedy's not getting better. The visuals are getting worse. As we also learned this week, the Marvel executive who was previously in charge of all post-production VFX and animation has now stepped down because everybody keeps saying these Marvel movies look like crap because they're putting them out so fast that the studios can't make enough time to make special effects for them. I mean, my God, what other stupid movies do we have coming out? The Marvels has been pushed back another, 6 months because they cast these 3 dummies. And again, I want to say maybe you would have a hope if Hollywood had any balls, if Hollywood had the balls to hire some actual comedians to write a funny movie. But they don't. They're just making cookie cutter Disney crap. And I think people are sick. This looks so stupid. Oh, a bunch of women on an adventure. I'm sure they're going to learn a lesson and they're going to play some music like, I'm every woman. I could write this movie in my head. I bet a mean man is going to say something to them and then they're going to punch him for female empowerment. Whatever. Point is, guys, I think people's audience, I know my audience tastes are changing. After seeing Ant-Man 3, I felt hollow inside. I felt empty. It felt like a complete waste of my time. And I guess I'll see Shazam just because I want to review it. But again, nothing about this goes, I'm going to get a great story. I'm going to get a bunch of actors dicking around making way too safe jokes for an hour, probably sometimes 2 hours, 2.5 hours. These movies are too safe. They're too candy covered. They taste like sugar. They rot your teeth. Give us something with some meat on the bones. The era of the family-friendly superhero film, I think, is hopefully coming to an end. But let me know in the comments, am I crazy? Am I misreading the room? Maybe in a time of great tragedy, people do want just stupid movies to, take their minds off of things. I just find it impossible to focus on that stuff. I look at what's going on in my own life, people I've lost, the misery that I'm going, whatever. My life's not that bad, but the point is, I go see something like Ant-Man, where the worst thing he's got to deal with is having incredible superpowers and fighting a guy with an army of ants, and I go, I don't relate to this. I don't relate to this character. But let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. And don't forget, it's your last chance to get on the mailing list for Super Killer. I think that mailing list is going to shut down because I didn't pay for the service. But get over to superkiller.org, bookmark it. The campaign is going up in the next, hopefully, 2 weeks. That's my plan. We'll see what we can do. Peace and love, guys. Veto Nation. Bye-bye.